not escape the sound of Sam Smith. The British singer-songwriter with the unforgettable voice has taken the music world by storm.
Happy people know who I am. Last year when I was here, no one knew who I was, so it's nice.
With his armload of trophies, he crushed all competition and became the king of the 2015 Grammys.
This is really awkward, holding these.
Samuel Frederick Smith was predestined for success. There was a buzz about him within the music industry long before he was unveiled as a solo artist.
I'd get him to do some harmonies. I thought, this is going to take a couple of days, and we'd have them done in an hour.
What is it you love about him so much? I don't know, I just think he's so unique, and I just love it.
That Sam Smith record is giving me my life.
Anything Sam Smith does, I'm like, done. If he just like farted on a microphone, I'd be like, it's beautiful.
Moments we care.
The soul sensation is no stranger to controversy.
He forged a note, I think, saying that he had to attend his grandfather's funeral when actually it was a Lady Gaga concert in London and he wanted to get on the front row.
The whole world knows my business now. I've got nothing else to hide.
As his critically acclaimed debut album, In the Lonely Hour, continues to ride a tidal wave of chart victory on both sides of the Atlantic, Sam Smith's commercial success seems unstoppable.
Things are incredible. The ups and downs are pretty intense, but when they're good, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Samuel Frederick Smith grew up in Great Chisel, a rural village in Cambridgeshire, England.
I grew up in a little village in Cambridgeshire in the UK. My family are musical, and so they love music. They love soul music, and that's all they used to play. And we used to share music all the time and speak about music all the time, and there was always music on in the house. But no, none of them did music.
Sam was a student at St Mary's Catholic School, where he was a member of Bishop Stortford's Junior Operatic Society.
This is a guy that went to a Catholic convent. He went to youth orchestra.
Sam attended St Mary's Catholic School from 2003 to 2010. So he finished his GCSEs in 2008 and then he progressed into the sixth form. Sam studied dance, drama and film studies. I wouldn't say he excelled, but he did really well. I mean, he got good grades for his 3 A-levels. He was a very enthusiastic student. He was very interesting to have in the sixth form. He was a real character. Everybody loved Sam. I wouldn't necessarily describe him as a model pupil, but he worked hard, met most of his deadlines and did most of his homework. I mean, he did skip a couple of classes once. We found out that Sam had been to a concert and he'd lied, so unfortunately I had to reprimand him, and I didn't give him a detention. We put him in what's called the inclusion unit, which is an isolation where we have a member of staff in there and the students have to work in there for a couple of days and they have to reflect on their misdemeanors. Sam had to fill out like a reflection about, you know, was he right to do this? And he said no, he made a mistake in doing it, you know, and what did he need to think about while he was in the inclusion unit? And you know, he said, I'm a good kid, I don't really need to reflect on anything. So reflecting on his mistake, but I think looking back now, been quite happy to give him permission to go to the Lady Gaga concert.
The young singer strengthened his vocal skills in the Cantate Youth Choir and later joined the Youth Music Theatre UK.
He was always interested in music. We have a common room in the sixth form and Sam was always playing music in the common room from his iPod, and you could tell he had a passion for music, but really not studying music formally.
Sam first made headlines in 2009 when he was 15, but not in a way he likes to remember. His mother, a prominent banker, sued her employer after being fired for allegedly promoting her son's pop career while at the office.
You've had a lot of support getting to this position, haven't you? Especially from your mum.
Yes.
Because she was working in the city. Yes. Right here.
She was, over there.
Over there, not too far away. But, you know, Because she was giving you so much support though, she ran into a bit of bother.
I was 15 and something came out in the newspapers about my mum, which was strange. I was actually, it was the whole offensive thing about that article was actually, it was offensive towards my dad, because my dad was the one who used to drive me after school to all my, you know, my studio things and musical theatre and stuff like that.
Sam's father, Frederick, was a house husband, while his mother, Kate, worked as a city trader.
My mum was a very hard worker and she came home at like 9:30 every night, went to work at like 5:30 because we lived in Cambridge.
Sam has had a privileged background. His parents aren't poor.
Sam's family were really, really supportive of his career.
His mum was hell-bent on it. She was so excited, and she's a very focused person. And his dad is a lovely man. I really like Fred. He was a very special guy, a very humble man. And that's where I think he gets his humility from, Sam, from his dad.
Sam's got 2 sisters, and they both attended St Mary's in the 6th form, and his whole family are geared up towards supporting Sam. They put heart and soul into, you know, making sure, you know, his career has developed over time. They're very caring. They're just a lovely, lovely family.
Smith knew from an early age that he wanted to pursue a career in music.
When I turned probably about 10 years old, I knew exactly that's what I wanted to do. As soon as my first singing teacher told me, her name was Joanna Eden, and she told me that I was good at this, I thought, wow, I'm good at something, so I just ran with it.
His parents asked if they could bring their little boy to see me, and I said, I'm not really a teacher, but I'll give it a go. You know, I'm an artist, not a teacher. And so he came and sang Fly Me to the Moon, and I was like, okay, that's a good voice. And his dad went, what do you think, Joe? We think he's got quite a good voice. And I went, I think he's extraordinary. I've never taught a kid before, so I don't really have anything to compare it to, but I think he's extraordinary.
They did a programme on his piano teacher as being his major vocal coach, which got up my nose a little bit, because that's not exactly true.
Often my daughter was running around sort of screaming and making a noise, so it was often chaotic, but it was fun. We were more like singing friends than teacher-pupil. He was very prolific. He wanted to sing lots and lots of different songs, different styles, jazz, blues, musical theatre. My job was to witness and say, do you notice that? Did you see how that was? Yeah, and we sort of share and appreciate together. So, and I still feel like I'm kind of doing that in a way, witnessing this extraordinary, you know, rise.
The aspiring singer took part in talent competitions at school.
There's a talent show every year for the students, and Sam, he got up to sing, and it was probably a Whitney Houston number or something like that. And a student went on after him and drank in one go 2 litres of Coke. And it went to the audience for who was the winner of the contest, and the boy who drank the Coke won the contest. So quite amazing that Sam was beaten in a talent show by someone who downed 2 litres of Coke in one go.
By the age of 12, the former choir boy had his first manager and was mapping his route to world domination.
Sam didn't study music formally at school. He was in the school choir, but he didn't take a prominent role. He was obviously putting a lot of time and effort into his vocal coaching outside of school.
From the age of 15, Smith was placed in formal vocal training with London-based vocal coach Dr. Voice.
Well, I was introduced to Sam by a record label, and they said, look, we've got this young lad, got a great voice, he's got some issues with his voice, they would like it to do more. We believe you could help. Would you be able to work with him? When they brought him in, we met each other. When I heard him sing, I thought, whoa, oh, I wouldn't mind working with this guy because he's got an unusual sound.
Sam is one of those rarities. He has an amazing voice.
The first time I heard Sam's voice, I was a little bit awestruck.
Moments I make momentarily mine, and moments I take step back in time.
His vocals are flawless.
Sam has an amazing range. His range is, I can't really compare it to anybody else's, but he uses it so well. In one song, he goes from the bottom of it straight up to the top. He plays with it so well.
He still does the techniques I shared with him. The deepening of the chest voice and the control of the voice to the top end is all in one. It's all what we call this So when your voice can do that, you've got a join. You can go down and at the top as well, and there's a freedom in that. You're not trying or pushing. And so I can hear he's sort of mastered that, and he's doing a good job.
At first I thought it was a woman, and then I was like, okay, I need to find out what this guy looks like.
You're very different from kind of anyone else. Do you reckon?
I don't know, thank you.
Come on, no one's got a voice of an angel quite like you, Sam Smith.
Thanks.
I mean, how'd you get that high?
I'm a woman, basically.
And I sound like a man. So...
I just trained from a very young age, so when your voice breaks, kind of train through that.
Oh, really? So you were still trying to get those notes even when, you know...
I just wanted to sound like Whitney, basically.
Sam has a soulful sound, and yet it's a delicate, feminine sound as part of his persona, which gave it an unusual feel. And I think that's what captured the imagination of him, because you couldn't tell whether he was a black man, whether he was white or what. It was hard to put him in any category.
He uses his vocals in a different way to most men at the moment, and he's got such a strong voice, and a strong voice throughout his whole range, which I think is uncommon at the moment for male vocalists. A lot of them kind of use a really soft, high register, but he has such a strong high register to his voice that it's really different.
It's all about his voice. He doesn't express himself with acting or with dancing or with his clothes.
For me as a voice coach, it was like wow, I'm going into different territory with a different voice. And Sam was certainly different, so I felt excited about working with him and realised that, yeah, I would do this. So I did it as a favour to the record company to just help him, but then it turned into something much more.
Sam's formative years were spent pursuing fame, but it eluded him.
From the age of 11 years old, I was doing musical theatre shows. I had my first manager when I was 12. I've had 9 managers now in total. At the age of 21, I recorded an album when I was 15, every day after school when I was doing my GCSEs.
When you've been practicing, working and spending time from a very young age in theatre, singing, moving around, wanting to perform, having managers around you, having all that going on around you, and the belief of parents saying, "Lord, you're going to be something," it's going to be programmed into him that, yeah, I can do this. This is what I'm destined for.
The toughest part of me getting into the industry was finding the right management. I went through a lot of managers and a lot of upset and a lot of letdowns. And a lot of false promises as well.
He did have a few interruptions in his relationship with management and things. Occasionally he would share a few things with me and we would talk through stuff, but he seemed to be very much in control of himself, you know, at such a young age.
He is very much in charge of the artist that he wants to be.
He felt his songs, what he wanted to do, was what's going to make him expand as an artist.
The problem was I wasn't writing music, and I got involved with people that weren't actually proper managers. The music industry is a very, very small place, especially in the UK. In the US it's a bit bigger, but in the UK the music industry is tiny and everyone knows everyone. And I was getting involved with managers that were on the outskirts, of the music industry. They weren't actually in it.
I don't think it is typical of the amount of managers and the messing around that he had with so many managers. I think this would have caused quite a lot of frustration, especially from his family's point of view as well.
I just think that Sam needed the right backing and then the right break in his career.
It was tough. I don't think it was all easy for Sam. I don't think it was a big breeze. Okay, privileged background, privileged family, money that was there. But I do feel that, you know, the disappointments, one after the other. And then just going back over it now, thinking the 7 tracks he did with me, all the hours we spent together, you know, and just to see that come to nothing.
I was 15 years old, and every day after school I'd be going to studios and recording stuff and working on projects. And every day after school they'd be promising me unbelievable things, like, you're going to be working with this person next week. And then next week will come and that wouldn't happen. They'd say, you're going to be signed next week. Next week will come, and it wouldn't happen. And I'd be, as a 15-year-old boy, I'd be going back to school telling my friends this. And I just looked like a complete idiot in front of all my friends all the time. And that crushed me a lot, actually, as a kid. That made me, it just felt like a hustle from a very young age. It felt like a proper hustle to just find the right people and the right team.
This would have all culminated in his being a big disappointing experience being in this music industry. This is the coal, if you like, that is crushed and crushed that has made the diamond. You know, no one gets anywhere without being crushed. No one becomes a diamond without there having been some adversity or some difficult thing that you go through.
A clever girl once told me, well, she's a bit stupid because we're not friends anymore. She was awful to me, but she did say one thing that was very clever. She said, once you get the right management, you will get a record deal. You will get a publishing deal. You will get if you're truly good at what you do, all of these things will fall into place once you find the right manager. And I found the right manager, which is great, so thank you for that.
Sam's determination and discipline to his craft would lead to sales of over 5 million copies of the debut album In the Lonely Hour.
I did hear from Sam after he parted the company with the last management. He came back to me and said, look, I know I haven't spoken to you for a while, Doc, you know, can we get together and have some lessons? I always sensed there was something unique and different about him, and therefore I wanted to back that.
Lots of staff felt as though Sam was destined for stardom, and when I heard him sing for the first time, I realised that, you know, there was something special about this kid.
Unique voice, unique personality, disciplined to his art and his writing, knew what he wanted. He had all the ingredients.
Sam Smith's songs, they're quite challenging to sing. He has to really look after his voice. He probably doesn't drink alcohol, he probably drinks litres of water every day, and he does a huge warm-up before every gig because you can't really afford not to with those kind of songs.
He'd ask all these, you know, questions, which he was very careful about what he was doing with his voice. We'd send texts to each other. Do I have to do six times? Can I do it 3 times? Can I drink as well or not? I said to him, no. I said to him no about drinking, and because I know alcohol can affect the vocal cords in not a very positive way, and it can affect your breathing, where therefore you can be out of breath when you're singing.
By the age of 18, Smith moved to London to seek fame and fortune. Within a year, he was cleaning toilets in a bar. Having split from his 6th manager, he was beginning to despair.
I worked in the bar for about 3 years previous to everything happening. I worked in a card shop, which was awful. I worked in a newsagent. I worked loads of little jobs here and there. I worked in a children's nursery, which was incredible, and looking after like babies and stuff in like daycare, which was great.
Sam rang me for a lesson, and he was strapped for cash, and obviously he was working in a bar at the time, and he was having a difficult time getting the money out of his job. They wouldn't pay him, and so, you know, I would never force at that issue. So I said, look, don't worry about the money. If you want to come for a lesson, you know how I love your voice, come along. You know, if you can't afford a lesson, come down. And he did do that, and I'm glad he did. He was always appreciative, and that, you know, in many cases, in many ways, was enough, really.
Things would begin to click for Sam when he began writing his own music.
I really hit my stride as a songwriter and as a singer and as an artist when I'm speaking about something truly honest and truly, and when I'm speaking about my insecurities at the time. That's when my music is the best, and that doesn't happen every day.
We wrote these songs together, and you know, quite a few of them I just think were extraordinary for that age.
He first became comfortable with himself when he started to be himself, and that's when he was accepted into the industry.
I saw him shine when he played me a track on the piano, this Sailor song, and I saw that. I thought, wow, hang on, he wants to do this in a different way, and he's got his own thing here.
To be a good lyricist, you have to just be able to tell a story, and people can connect with that story. And I think most of his songs are that, and they're a situation that everybody's been through and everybody can relate to.
If I'm honest, I find a little kind of goes a long way. It really affects me. I really feel it. I really feel the emotion behind his singing, and I don't feel upbeat when I listen to Sam's music.
People could take this really wrongly when I speak about it. I don't want them to, but you know, when I wrote my record, I truly wrote it as it was a selfish record. It was me saying, I am lonely, I'm going through this, and I need to talk about it to make me okay. When I was writing my album, I was only thinking about myself. I was, because I was in so much agony and pain. And so I'm still trying to come to terms right now with the fact that it's not about me anymore, and about how these songs, I've overcome all this stuff, and these songs are starting to affect people in really massive, deep ways.
He's written songs that people can relate to, and what's brilliant is that he's written songs about being a gay man falling in love with another man, yet millions of people relating to them, which is great.
His songs are simple, but really effective.
The songs that he's written are about personal experiences, because I don't think it's possible to exude that amount of emotion without it actually having happened to you.
Fine young people can still be careless, and time keeps drawing while you're still jealous, but life means nothing while you're this headless. No time won't wait for no man to calm it down.
When you listen to Sam's music, you feel it. Whoever you are, even if you don't really particularly like it, you feel that sense of abandonment, desertion, absolute loneliness.
This writing process was quite dramatic, and because, you know, I was trying to get these songs that were honest and brutal and real, but I'm not a naturally sad person, so I was writing for a year and I wasn't sad every single day for a year, you know? So that was tough, because, you know, when I wasn't sad, I had to try and think of some sort of emotion to write a song about that day. But luckily, I was sad at certain points, and you know, those songs were captured on the record.
He has quite a say in what happens with his songs, because he's written them himself. So obviously he has this idea in his head of how they're meant to sound.
The writing process that you have with record labels is, I find, actually really amazing, because you'll write a song and if they say they like it and it's at the beginning of the writing process, if that song survives for the rest of that year, then you know that it's a good song. You know, if it still sounds fresh in their ears a year later when they're listening to it, and when I'm listening to it, then we know it's a good song. But then certain songs I just knew immediately were amazing, and I knew immediately would be great.
Sam learned techniques to control his voice and push his vocal range to the limit.
The favourite song that I did with him, I wanted his voice to be like a violin at the end, and he did it perfectly with his lovely warble. And I kept saying, I want it to sound like a violin, because a lot of singers emulate instruments. Ella Fitzgerald would emulate saxophone. Sinatra emulates trombone, so you hear Sinatra go, and I know you. That lazy feel is just like a trombone. So Sam, I always tried to impart on him, sound like a violin in this track, All This Matters, towards the end, be like a violin. And he did it, and he just sounded, and it fills the room, and it feels like a violin's playing. I love that.
While many of today's performers find themselves laser-targeted towards a specific audience, Sam Smith's appeal shows no bounds.
I'm trying to be honest, and as much as I'm trying to be personal, I'm also trying to make. I want the builder down the road to be able to sing it, but then I also want the schoolgirl to be able to sing it. Music is what should be bringing people together.
He's not been pigeonholed because he appeals to lots of different age groups.
A granny might think, oh my God, his voice is amazing, he sings like an angel. So he appeals to everyone, to every audience and every age.
He just transcends lots of different types of people.
I'd love to think that the thing that's connected the most is the fact that I'm genuinely just being myself. You know, I'm putting myself on the line, and I'm saying, even calling my record in the Lonely Hour, I don't see that as a sad thing. I see that as a really brave thing to do.
I think the main thing that stood out for me was his just calm belief and conviction in everything he did, and to have that at the same time as being very, very calmly confident, also take direction incredibly well without kind of like, you know, no kind of handbag moments. It was all like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll try it like that.
Sam is a gregarious person, but he's very sensitive. He never ever had a diva attitude. He never had a rudeness or I'm better than this, I can do it. None of that. What you would expect from a young lad who's, you know, and I've seen it in some pupils, you know, never had that. He was very humble. That's what I liked about Sam. He never boasted what he's capable of. And he was always grateful when you say, oh, that was fantastic, Sam. Oh, really, thank you. You know, there was no, yeah, I know. You know, he was very, very humble.
Being yourself every day is tough, you know, because I always say this isn't a job. What I'm doing isn't a job, it's a lifestyle. So I'm being emotional and honest, and I'm an open wound every single day.
I knew that he had what I lacked at his age, which was that calm conviction, strength in his own ability. And it's funny now to hear him talk about that he lacked confidence, because for me, I always felt like he knew what he wanted. We'd be writing songs together and he'd say, I want some strings there, and I'd play a string thing on the keyboard and he'd go, no, pizzicato, you know, he'd know.
I do believe that you would relieve my tension.
He comes across quite shy with people he doesn't know very well.
Very often wanting to just blend in with people.
He's just a lovely human being, and I think his fans will be moved by that, touched by that fact that he is actually a nice person.
That's why so many people love him, because he is just a nice young guy.
I never wanted to play a character, I never wanted to change my name, and I never want to create music that doesn't make me feel like I'm confessing something, because it does feel so good. It's really two ways. You know, one time the upside is these songs make me feel like I'm telling my diary to a room full of 1,000 people, and they're all singing the music back to me, making me feel like whatever I'm saying in the song, it's like them giving me a massive hug, saying everything's okay. That's an upside. The downside is, when do I stop? We're greedy, I'm greedy. We all want more and more and more. And that's the dangerous thing, you know, when do I stop telling everything?
So far, he's still very new to the superstar title. So I think he's doing really well to kind of stay out of like tabloid fodder, and he's just being a young guy who just wants to sing.
We have had the press hanging around and asking for various scoops on Sam, and you know, have got any gossip.
You don't see anything of him falling out of a cab drunk, so it's good to see, because it's really easy for that to happen when you're young, but he seems to have a really good head on his shoulders.
To be honest with you, there is no gossip with Sam. What you see is what you get with him. We're really proud of him. We haven't got anything to say other than he's just fantastic.
I'm still trying to come to terms with the whole kind of role model thing, and about how it's a responsibility I didn't necessarily ask for, but that comes with it. And I'm willing to do it, and I'm willing to help these people. But I'm taking my time, because it's all new to me. When people, like even last night after the show, someone said something really intense to me, and I was just like, whoa, like just, you know, it's incredible, but I need to take time to learn how to comfort you. You know what I mean?
Sam honed in on his songwriting skills and continued private vocal coaching sessions under the instruction of Dr. Voice.
To more full to the ways of love, with my respect for the man above. Well, sympathy's mine concerning your state, out of our heads and back again. I'm losing all time.
We had lots of fun times, and just to hear him laugh used to make me feel good. I used to take a dog, used to do this dog, and I used to go up to him and I'd go, "Don't upset me, Sam." And he'd go, "What?" And I'd go, "Rrrr." And I'd make this sound, "Rrrr." And I'd keep doing it, "Rrrr." And he knew it was getting worse. And I'd go, "Rrrr." And then I'd bite him, pretend to bite him. And he'd jump, you know. I think he couldn't stop laughing at it, but I think I frightened him.
I'm sure there was so much work put in before anyone had even heard of him.
He worked very hard on, for the 4 years that I spent with him, he was always practicing, always using the techniques.
A bit too quiet. Perfect. Over the rainbow, where I go again, where I go again. Oh crap, we need to go back.
The bubble technique, which is the technique, which puts air on the lips and not on the chords, and that enables you to go very high in your voice. If you want to go right at the top end of your voice, "Yeah, I wanna be the one!" You know, it's very easy to do, and very, you know, and well, you know that. You know, with his songs, he was able to hit these notes with ease. But if you don't do those techniques, you won't be able to get those notes.
He does a huge warm-up before every gig, because you can't really afford not to with those kind of songs. He had his own private dressing room, so I didn't really see any of his preparations or anything. It would have been nice to, though.
The Goog technique is very powerful, and that brings out chest voice and power, which is what I did with Sam. I'm not standing up saying, oh, you should be taking note of what I've done. That's wrong. You don't see people like Stephen Hawkins's maths teacher standing up saying, I taught him everything he knows. Hello? You know, no, it's not like that. But when you back a horse, it's nice to know that you were a part of a team that did it.
Sam Smith is neither a product of the Brit School nor the X Factor, but a creation of his own drive.
X Factor, what do you think of these talent shows? Because I think they're getting a bit old.
I just don't watch them. If I'm honest, I do disagree with some of the things that happen with them, but I have no... Look, there's some amazing talent that comes out of it.
I think one of the loveliest things about Sam's success is that he's not a typical through the Voice or the X Factor or some Brit School or some other institution that he's worked through. He's worked through his own institution.
It's kind of extraordinary for this generation that he wasn't found through a TV medium.
He's built his career from nothing, and he's not had that extra push that the Brit School or the X Factor would give.
I write my own stuff, so I wouldn't go on there because I'm a songwriter. But you know, if I was just singing, I think I probably would go for it because it's tough out there.
It is very refreshing to finally have someone that is making a huge name for themselves without being manufactured, basically.
This is someone who's grafted, who has a beautiful voice.
To have someone develop naturally and organically, I think maybe as well that's a lot to do with his appeal. You know, people have just appreciated the talent rather than being told to appreciate the talent.
What if Simon Cowell called you up and was like, hey, do you want us to perform your new single on the show? 100%. I don't like the show, but I'll come on.
As a teenager, Sam gravitated towards the music of Beyoncé and singing legends Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey.
I'm listening to mainly females. I don't know why. It's something in the voice or what they're saying that I completely identify with. I have Britney Spears on my iPod, but I also have Joni Mitchell. I have Stevie Wonder, then I have Robin. I have Jason Derulo, but then I also have Grimes, and there's all different types. I love all different types of music.
He loves all the divas.
He was influenced by a lot of soul singers, which is why he's got that really nice soul to his voice.
He clearly honed his skill when he was like 12 to 16, singing in his bedroom to people like Beyoncé, and he loves Whitney Houston, you know, Christina Aguilera, some of the soul singers as well.
You've got Beyoncé in there, you've got all the divas, Whitney Houston. He was massively, massively inspired by those women.
Musically, it was female singers from the get-go. I went through a weird stage. It started off with just singers, like Whitney Houston.
These days, I'm very careful about diva. I have met divas, and some I'm not. I don't want to be a diva. You know what I mean? It's a very, very funny word. It can mean prima donna or goddess. You know, any given day you can be either or. I don't know. I'm just, I'm Whitney. If diva is the word, and if that's what I am, and if I'm at the top of my class, if I'm the #1 diva, I'm fine. If I've got to be #2, I ain't cool with it.
The influence of emotive soul and pop balladry remain an integral part of Smith's style.
As I got older, I got swallowed into this whole MTV generation of everything, and then Beyoncé was everything, and Destiny's Child, and I remember people like TLC and Pink and all that kind of stuff. And then, so that was the video side taken care of, that I was watching videos all the time, and the imagery I was getting so inspired by. But then as I got older, I started to fall in love with songwriters, so Amy Winehouse, Joni Mitchell. and all these brutally honest songwriters I used to listen to, even Adele I used to listen to and be inspired by them.
Sam's 4 Grammy Awards represent the biggest triumph for a British pop star since Adele scooped 6 back in 2012. Comparisons between the two are never far away, partly due to stratospheric record sales, brooding lyrics and a shared vocal talent.
People tend to pigeonhole artists into artists that they are like, and it's been very interesting actually to watch, because I've been compared to Adele a lot recently, and which is crazy to me because the music's so different. You know, listen to Nirvana, Safe With Me, all that stuff, it's so different, but I think what they take from the thing that they compare is the honesty, which I find such a huge compliment.
Both artists defied the size zero, cut and paste pop star stereotype. But most importantly, the voice is paramount. There are no gimmicks, but plenty of soul.
We had Adele, and Adele did her thing. Like, she broke so many barriers.
They've had a sort of a similar career, and maybe that's why people compare them.
People see this British singer who's soulful, who's passionate, who can make grown men, you know, drop to their knees in tears kind of thing. And, you know, Adele did the same thing.
To be compared to the biggest singer in the world is the most amazing thing. I think we're very, very different, but, well, first of all, I'm a guy, but the thing that I'd like to take from it is that the similarities are our honesty in music. And it's a shame that there's only a few people doing that in the industry, but it's amazing to be compared to her.
Once Sam resigned from his job as a bartender, the recognition began. He met songwriter Jimmy Napes. Together, they wrote Lay Me Down, a ballad that Napes sent to the management of house duo Disclosure. By the end of 2012, Sam caught the world's attention when he provided vocals for Disclosure's breakthrough single Latch.
I don't think we realised the sort of how much it would connect with such a wide variety of people. Like, it really shows in our shows as well now. Like, you get all the kids and stuff who are just into it, and then you get like these kind of 35 to 40-year-olds who are there because they get this kind of nostalgia about the music from, you know, house and garage, and they're like, oh yeah, this is like when I used to go out. Yeah. And that's great. So yeah, I don't think we knew that would happen at all, even though we take influence from all that older stuff. We had no idea it was going to connect with such a wide variety of people.
I want things to happen organically, you know, because the proof's in the way that my career started with Disclosure and Naughty Boy and people like that, and I feel like those types of relationships create better music.
Latch subsequently spent 15 weeks in the UK Top 40. But as a pop star, Sam was still invisible.
Disclosure's album, when it came out, that was like my go-to gym album.
Because there was his vocal added to the track, obviously I connected with that a lot more than I would without that.
It was Sam's falsetto on Disclosure's album. I was like, okay, I can keep listening to this album, let's keep going.
The focus was more on Disclosure at the time than Sam Smith, and then it just kind of carried on with Naughty Boy.
I would never count myself as cool because you should see what's on my iPod or my iPhone, or the music I love, or the artists I admire, and sometimes they're not cool. But I feel like, I don't know, I just fell into that world. I didn't know who Disclosure were when I started working with them.
I asked Sam whether he'd mind coming down to see the young offenders because I was working there teaching them music, and they were so hot to trot for his song Latch. Latching onto you. And they were into that and listening to it on the radio all the time. And of course, Sam had been ringing me saying, oh, I think it's been played on the radio, and he was all excited. And he was due to come for a singing lesson. So he came down to the prison. He spent an afternoon with me there, and he met all the guys. the young offenders, and he loved it.
Latch peaked at number 11 in the UK charts, but by February 2013, Sam released his debut single, Lay Me Down. Lay Me Down was the song that started everything for Sam and proved he was on his way to being the next big star. While it was clear that someone with a great voice had arrived on the scene, there were no inklings that this would instantly lead to a successful international solo career.
I feel like I'm coming for a reason in a way, but, and I'm not just a fan watching, but it's I'm still going to be a fan watching everyone at the same time.
Smith would make another guest appearance, which would prove important to his career. In May 2013, he provided guest vocals on Naughty Boy's international mega hit La La La.
La La La, first time I heard that on the radio was really special. I mean, you could just tell it was Sam.
He's got his soul, and then he can jump on a dance track like that, like it's nothing.
Then when it went to number 1, it was like, wow. Now this is special.
Even if you didn't know who sang it, you'd find yourself singing it and it's like, I don't know where I just heard this song, but it's in my head now.
About that time, he was doing La La La, that he phoned me, he said, I've been pushing my voice and I think I've strained it. What do you think, Doc? And I said, well, if you've pushed it, you're not doing it properly, you're not doing the techniques properly. It should be no push, it should be ma 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 ma, not ma 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 ma.
Naughty Boy's La 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 became the fastest-selling UK single of 2013 and subsequently reached number 1 in 26 countries.
I did hear about Naughty Boy actually being able to start himself off by going on Deal or No Deal, and he won £70,000 and he used that to like kit out a studio and I know we bought a car.
So maybe if it wasn't for the banker, we wouldn't have Sam Smith. If it wasn't for Noel Edmonds.
Deal or No Deal?
Ah, I've heard of that.
Why has no one won £250,000 yet?
Well, 2 people have, but we wanted to give the impression that that they hadn't, you know, to keep it going. So we paid them, but never showed the shows.
La 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 brought Sam his first number 1, but 2014 would prove to be a monster year. A Brit Critics' Choice Award followed, as did winning the BBC Sound of 2014 poll, which highlights the best emerging artists for the year ahead.
The idea was to do a very wide-reaching survey of key tastemakers in the UK market. So journalists, bloggers, DJs, music programmers at television and radio. And it was trying to do, rather than take one small take, it was to get the opinions of a huge number of tastemakers and try and boil that down into an ultimate recommendation list. The notable ones from my point of view are clearly Sam Smith. Again, strongly supported this year already, not as a solo artist, but he's done guest vocals on things like Disclosure, Latch obviously, and he's got a unique voice, distinctive voice, which is always one of the secrets, one of the ingredients you need for success. So I'm strongly backing Sam Smith.
It was the point where he got the Critics' Choice Brit that everyone started paying a bit more attention to him. So I was aware of him before that, and I think a lot of people were as kind of this, maybe like a session singer or something, but not kind of as an artist.
Pairing up with Disclosure and Naughty Boy added a contemporary edge to Sam Smith. Suddenly, he was relevant.
I was absolutely delighted that you were nominated.
Yeah.
The Brits Critics' Choice. When you got the phone call, email, text, what happened? How did you feel?
It's insane. Like I got told a day earlier, and yeah, that award is the one that kind of means a lot to me because I watch it every single year. So who knows? I think I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want to win it because I do.
was January 2014, we did kind of like a 5 reasons why Sam Smith's going to take over the world kind of thing. And then we've just constantly kind of supported him and everything that he does since then.
The voice that provided the runaway success for Latch and La 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 to crack the charts charmed Capitol Records president Nick Raphael, who signed Sam to the label in 2013.
I hate the idea of just relating to one type of person, you know. I wanted, my dream from a young age is the world to sing my music, you know, so I will forever make that, you know, I will make that promise to myself that my music will hopefully everyone will be able to relate to it. That's my aim.
We had a thing together where I would say to him, why don't you write down or do a dream board or write out or find a way to focus your attention on how to become one of the greatest singers that's ever come out of Great Britain. What about that? And he, oh, I like that. He took that on board. His dream was to sing with Beyonce, and I said, well, whatever your dreams are, get them out, write them down, because it's potential. You can actually make that happen if you focus on it. If you don't focus on it, there's not as much chance. If you focus on it, you've got more of a chance of it happening.
It was unbelievable. That VMA day was a complete blur. I woke up the next morning actually and thought it was a dream. It was crazy. It was crazy. I thought I was going to be more prepared when I met Beyonce, but I wasn't. I was genuinely just a 15-year-old boy freaking out. It was incredible. I managed to keep my cool.
I'm good. I'm myself a little bit, but I'm excited. I can't wait, and I'm just like you guys. I'm just watching all these amazing famous people rock up in amazing outfits. It's great. I'm the biggest fan of Beyonce. She's actually personally let me go and watch her sound check earlier. They had to ask her and she said yes, and I went and watched it. It's unbelievable. You're all gonna die. It's unbelievable.
Do you know what? That whole day was a massive eye-opener for me, you know. We put people on pedestals and we worship people, but when you actually meet them, they're just human beings. And and that's why I love Beyonce and people like that, because they're truly talented, and that's what you should be worshipping, their talent and what they do and their trade, not the colour of their hair.
When you focus on things long enough, hard enough, and have a desire for them, and you work towards it as well, you're working. It's no good saying, I want to be the greatest singer on the planet, and you sit there and do nothing. Well, that's not going to happen. But if you say, I want to be the greatest singer on the planet, and you're going, goog, 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 and you're using your voice, and you're doing the techniques, you do all these techniques, you've got more of a chance of that happening. So the idea of a dream board is to put you on your side. So you are backing you. You are saying, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, and I'm not coming off it for anything. That's what a dream board is. And Sam's done that. Well done, Sam. Ooh, you've done it.
It's just unbelievable to get that recognition from the Grammys is incredible. For me, the Grammys is when they say something that your song is good or your album's good, it means that they're saying that it's a timeless piece of work, which is what I'm trying to do and what I tried to do with my record. And to be in that category is amazing. I can't, like, to see my name next to Beyonce's is just very weird for me.
It'll be one of my little fears, like where, you know, imagine having everything you ever dreamt of, 22. You know, that's a big achievement. So, you know, he could stop now and he'll never have to worry about money, but he won't stop because he's doing what he loves.
2014 kicked off with the release of Money on My Mind from the debut album In the Lonely Hour.
Loving your new song, it's amazing. Are you not feeling a bit scared now you're going solo? Because you kind of had those incredible hits with some pounds along the way.
I ate some nuts earlier and it's getting trapped.
What nut was it?
It was cashew.
They're the terrors. They get stuck in windpipes.
Yeah, the single, man, it's insane. The reaction's been unbelievable, but yeah, it's scary. It's massively scary, but I really do have faith in the music I'm putting out, which is the most important thing.
It kind of happens that it's actually really bloody good as well.
Thank you. Thank you
Really
so
good.
much.
Album next year, May, did you say?
May.
Do we have a name for it?
No, I'm going to be telling people in a few weeks, though.
You know what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's self-titled, isn't it? It's Sam Smith.
No way.
Memoirs of?
Definitely not. Memoirs of Close, I'm joking. No.
And anything else exciting? Because you've collaborated with the biggest people ever already. You've set the bar high, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm shooting my video for Money on My Mind in Vegas on Monday, which is going to be crazy.
What's wrong with London?
What?
What's wrong with London?
It's a bit cold, isn't it now?
So we
Vegas
can
will be
expect some
fun.
naked Vegas video action.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to get full on naked.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And any other collabs? I'm thinking Katy Perry today, Gaga tomorrow. Have a little word.
Yeah, I might actually just sneak in their changing room, have a chat. No, I have no duets on the album actually. It's just me. Just me. It's very selfish, but I think it's important. I think I've come from features, so it's my time.
And one last thing. I mean, it's my time.
My time.
That's what the album's called, isn't it?
No.
Money on My Mind smashed the UK charts by reaching #1 in its first week and was followed by the breakthrough ballad Stay With Me, which catapulted Sam into the global spotlight.
Thank you all. Thank you again. In my last one, I forgot to thank Jimmy Napes and Tourist, who wrote Stay With Me. So thank you for writing that song with me. I just want to dedicate this one to all my fans who are very new into my life. Thank you. I love you all so, so much. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
He told me he'd signed a deal with Universal, and he said, I'm so excited, and he disclosed to me what he'd received from them. I said, wow. And that's when I started to think, well, pay me for the lessons.
I'm an emotional person, that's why I do what I do, and it's been mental. I've had moments where I've never been happy or never felt as happy as that in my life, but then there's moments where I've never felt so alone in what's happening, because it's only me, it's only happening to me right now. So it's really hard it's hard sometimes, but I'm having the most amazing ride I could ever ask for.
Stay With Me sold millions of copies around the world and helped propel Sam's debut album In the Lonely Hour to become one of the best performing titles of 2014.
Stay With Me's it was an odd way of writing music actually. We started with the chords. It was me, Jimmy, and a guy called Tourist. And Tourist played the chords, and then me and Jimmy just started writing the melodies together. And I remember I came up with the lyric, I guess it's true I'm not good at a one night stand. And at first, Jimmy and Tourist were a bit like, we can't use that, because it's a bit too literal, it's a bit too, I guess a bit too honest. Because I really, you're saying a lot in that one sentence, especially as an opening of a song. But I fought for it, and I decided that we had to have it. And as soon as that lyric was put down, everything flowed. Me and Jimmy were just flowing with ideas and lyrics, and we literally wrote it in about an hour.
The way the session that I did for Stay With Me kind of came about was I'm part of a performance choir called London Community Gospel Choir. So a few of us kind of got picked out, and we got told that, oh, you're going into the studio with Sam Smith. And literally 2 days later, I was in the studio with Sam Smith.
I remember I was in the booth and I was recording it. I remember thinking, this song's all right. I was like, it's all right. I was like, it's not 100% incredible, but it's okay.
When we were recording the track, I think no one realised what we were actually doing. It was another day in the office for us. During the session, he seemed a bit nervous, but he kind of just did his thing. He did the first take, and we were all like, oh my gosh. It was amazing.
Jimmy just said to me, he was like, Sam, why don't we try and layer up some vocals on the chorus? And so I went into the studio, which was quite a big room, and I stood around the studio probably about 10-15 times. Just stood around and I laid up the vocals, and then we played it back in my ears, and I broke down, and suddenly the song came alive.
It was so relatable. The lyrics were simple. It was easy to get into your head, but no one anticipated what the track was going to become.
And it was that gospel choir in the chorus that it just brought everything together, the meaning of the song, the loneliness of the song. It just sounded perfect and right. And I text my managers and my label immediately after we sent it and said, this is the one.
By December 2014, Stay With Me had passed the 1 million sales mark on both sides of the Atlantic. Don't you walk away now.
Stay With Me was what led him to conquering the world.
The song won a Grammy.
It's no surprise that it won Song of the Year. It's no surprise that it won Record of the Year.
Thank you so much. Well, I feel like Kate Winslet at the Oscars right now. I've never done one of these. This is amazing. I don't know how to react right now. This is absolutely incredible. It's a dream come true. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
It's a funny feeling seeing him up there and him not in my studio.
I was watching on a live stream and then the sound cut out, and I just saw him jump up and sorry, calm down. Just saw him jump up and get the award, and I didn't hear what it was, but I found out it was for the best single, I think.
Why does that make you so emotional?
For just a moment, I just had a little picture of his face and the pride, and you know, people like people like Paul McCartney just standing there, you know, applauding him.
What could top this? A boyfriend would be nice, but I wouldn't. I don't think you're my boyfriend. I don't think it would top this though. Actually, nothing, and that's the curse of the rest of my life, I think.
A lot of people would say that you deserve to win big, as you did at the Grammys a couple of weeks ago. Has that all kind of sunk in now?
No, you're even saying it now and I can't believe it. It's amazing, and I haven't got them. They haven't sent them to me yet.
Really?
Yeah, so when they come, it'll be like the Grammys over again.
Oh, I thought they'd give them to you on the night.
No. Send them in over a month.
Have you got little places that are lost in
I'm
going
to use them as like everyday things, like as a doorstop, toothbrush holder, that kind of thing.
Sam's meteoric success continued in 2015, when he scooped 2 Brits, plus a Billboard Music Award for Top Male Artist.
To all my fans, if you are hearing this right now, I love you so much, more than you will ever know, and I can't wait to give my second album to you.
To be honest, I thought Sam was going to get album or male, so it's nice to get both, but you know, Sam got the Global Award, which is kind of the best one, I'd say, because that shows outside of the UK you're smashing it.
At the Brit Awards, I did hear him, and I did text him that I heard you go off. I texted him, and he said, "Oh, what is it?" And he came back straight away. I said, "I've heard something not quite right with you." You said, "Oh, what is it?" He went, and he wanted to know what it was, and I explained to him, "Well, you've got to come in and see me." And what happened? He was too breathy, and he was going slightly flat. Never heard him do that, and I think that's because of tiredness, travelling. He was, was on a lot of shows. He was rushing around the planet, and you need to rest that voice to be able to have the full command of it. And so, not every performance he turns up can be perfect, because it's tough out there.
I'm going to America, then Australia, and Chicago, and the UK in the space of like 6 days.
You're going to be tired?
Yeah, I'm going to be knackered. But it's great. The more I'm busy, the more I enjoy it. It's when I actually get a chance to sit down and think about things, that's when I start to feel uncomfortable, because I don't really have a life now when it comes to being at home.
Disaster struck in May 2015 as the singer was forced to cancel his Australian tour after doctors discovered a hemorrhage on his vocal cord.
People think if you can sing and you've got a great voice, that's it. No, that's the house. and it stands up quite nice. But if you don't do the techniques, if you don't do the exercises, that's like the brackets, that's like the nails, the concrete that keeps the house nice and sturdy. And these people have not been practicing their voice properly with the techniques. They just sing the song, it wobbles, and sometimes it falls down the house.
I'm worried about my voice today because I've got a few shows coming up and my voice is a bit dry. But other than that, I'm fine, you know.
I don't care who you are, I don't care how clever you are or what brilliant singer you are. You cannot hear yourself. You can't see what you're doing. And someone who understands the voice can say, hang on, you're using too much air there, you're going to lose your voice. You're going to do something here, you're going to lose your voice there. People think when you lose your voice, you've got to be quiet or whisper. Whispering is the worst thing for your voice. And I remember sharing that with Sam because he talked very soft. Hello. And he goes soft in that whispery voice of his. And he knows that you've got to keep using the voice. If you don't use it, you lose it. This has happened with Adele. I sent an email to Adele's company and said she will lose her voice in 6 months if she continues to push it like she's doing. Because I could hear that's what she was doing. And they told me, I forget, someone said mind your own business or they got a vocal coach. 6 months later she lost her voice and she hasn't sung since.
By June 2015, Sam made a solid recovery from throat surgery. He began writing a new album and confirmed a string of new concert dates for later that year.
I can't stay away from writing, so I've already started writing. I think I have a title for my record. I think I know what I want to say a little bit, and I'm writing. I wrote a song the other day actually, which I'm completely obsessed with, and that is feeling as honest as the record.
As Sam Smith's career continues to go from strength to strength, his love life provides the inspiration for his music.
I was aware that I was putting this record out and then suddenly everyone was going to be waiting for me to fall in love. It sounds so cheesy, and I remember watching like famous people before say all this and thinking, shut up, but I genuinely don't feel lonely anymore because of the fans. I don't, and it's hard to explain and it's impossible for people to relate, but genuinely it's enough right now. I'm going on dates here and there, meeting people. I'm always going to be searching for that, but that hole that was missing is genuinely being filled right now from the fan base, from performing every night and all these people. It really is. I'm not lonely anymore because of that. But obviously I would like someone next to me when I sleep, but I'm working on that.
Celebration of same-sex love has been fully accepted in a business that has too often encouraged gay artists to hide behind heterosexual smokescreens.
Do you know what I am? I'm proud of the world and the people in the world for the way that they've reacted, because they've hardly reacted, which is exactly what we wanted.
He is full of integrity. Nothing about Sam Smith is a lie.
I was pleased that he got to do it on his own terms and not really have it become a scandal, you know, not have it be something that would be used against him, because unfortunately, you know, that is still the case. How many times do you see newspaper headlines about people's sexuality? That's still a thing that we have to live with.
In this day and age, it shouldn't be a problem, but people always like to speculate, and for him that must have been hard.
He's spoken about gay issues, you know, he's spoken about gay dating. I don't necessarily think that he's a spokesperson because he's not really, he doesn't have to be. I don't think we necessarily need Sam Smith to be a spokesperson. He's a musician, and I think that's what people should kind of focus on, really.
That world is so important to me, and it's so deeply important to me to be a spokesperson, which someone quoted recently that I didn't want to, which is completely false, because I want to, and I want to be, but not just for gay people, for straight people, for lesbians, transsexuals, anyone in the world.
After establishing his solo career, Sam went on to co-write with R&B legend Mary J. Blige.
I've written on the Mary J. Blige album, which is great, which was my first ever attempt at doing something like that, which was amazing.
I don't know if I can tell you everything, but I can tell you that I went overseas and I recorded an amazing album with Disclosure, wrote with Sam Smith. I embraced the culture. I ate fish and chips every day. I was in the studio at 12 noon every day. We had a good time. I made some good friends. The album is amazing. That's all I can say, and it really is.
Mary is an incredible human being, and I meet so many people at the moment, and I meet a lot of current pop stars and a lot of famous people, and they are not half as humble as she is, and she's got 20 more Grammys than they have, and loads and so many more records, and she's still so humble and so down to earth and insecure and fragile, and that's what me and her connect with, the fact that me and her both have this human side that we've shown the world. Obviously she's shown it a lot more than I have.
Since hitting the big time, the singer-songwriter has undergone something of a transformation.
I've definitely seen a style transformation in Sam since he's hit the big time. You know, he's definitely taken his fashion thing, and I'm sure that's a lot to do with his weight loss. He's suddenly thinking, I can be a gay icon, I can be really good looking, and I can wear designer clothes. He's really into fashion. He absolutely loves being front row at Burberry. He's a bit of a sucker for designer labels. I think he likes his designer clothes a lot. You know, he's on first name terms with Anna Wintour, the editor of American Vogue. Designers are throwing clothes at him. Burberry are throwing clothes at him. He got sponsored by Calvin Klein for his American tour. That's a huge deal.
I think it's so important. I think style and fashion works so hand in hand with the music. You know, if you're making music that isn't necessarily, I don't know. I try and make my music link with the way I look. I just do. I think it makes it easier for the listener to digest.
He's definitely modelled himself on a young Frank Sinatra. You can see that with his hairstyle. It's almost identical. It's very much that Rat Pack look. It's about the sharp suits, the hair.
I mean, that little earring's pretty good, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, I mean, he's always pretty sharply dressed.
It's really the first time we've seen a pop star advocating that kind of smart look, which is a conservative look, which is really super chic and not about rebelling and not about ripped jeans and tattoos. And it's a different way of expressing yourself, which, let's face it, grannies and mothers would love. He would just look like a Muppet if he was dressed in a cape and was dancing around in kind of cowboy boots or something. It wouldn't work. He loves a bit of makeup, and he's talked openly about it and said, what man doesn't wear makeup now? And he's a gay guy. I don't think he has any problem with makeup.
My wife used to get on the train that Sam used to get off, and she used to send me a text saying, oh, have a look at Sam, he's got quite a lot of makeup on today, so I'd sometimes have to challenge Sam as he came into school talking about his makeup, but it wasn't a big problem.
Sam's preferred designers are your classics, your Gucci, your Armani, a little bit of Alexander McQueen, Calvin Klein. He wears a lot of Burberry because Burberry are very, very supportive of the music industry and especially up-and-coming talent. So it works very well that Sam would become a Burberry muse. We might even see Sam in their ad campaigns.
As soon as a label start telling you they want you to be wearing this, wearing that, sounding like this, sounding like that, that's for me when the alarm bells come on, because that's you. The way I dress, the way I talk in interviews, the way I do all this, that's me. That's me creating that.
Sam Smith is poised to enjoy a glittering career. He is unquestionably the future of British music.
You know, it's odd, like things like, even like the most simple things like Facebook likes. I remember being ecstatic for having 200 Facebook likes. And, you know, now I take that completely for granted, now I have like 1 million, but I'm now thinking I really would like 2 million. And I'm taking for granted how amazing it is that 100 people are saying I like what you do. Do you know what I mean? So I think the fact that I'm aware of that is good.
He's
kind of dominating the world at the moment, and it's really, really something to look up to. It's amazing to see how it's going for him. So, you know, I'm working to do all the same.
He's already global. I mean, it's hard to know where you go from here. He could write for other people. Brilliant jazz voice there if he wanted to experiment with orchestration and big band.
Sam will be around a long time. I don't think he's a fly-by-night artist.
I don't think there's any escaping Sam Smith now.
His music will be around for a long time, and I think that it's timeless, really.
He's got a very strong sense of style, so we might well see him do collaborations with high street stores. I think he really wants his own brand. He's talked about that before. Building his brand is very, very key to him.
Sam is the #1 artist in the world, so why wouldn't St Mary's Catholic School be proud of him? We're hoping that Sam will pay us a visit at some point. His sisters did bring in his dog as a replacement a couple of years ago, but we wanted to see Sam as well, so I'm hoping Sam will come back at some point.
It's my dream to make timeless music. It's my dream to make music that stands the test of time and that everybody can sing.